Very true.
And our generation of kids who are now adults have been brought up with the Samaritans, is the suicide helpline, adults. Now you've got Childline, where children. So there's a gap in the middle.
Yeah.
Of teenagers.
There's wanting, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah. And they're not going to ring an adult line, and they're not going to ring Childline. So
right.
they.
So who do they call?
So, exactly. So Papyrus. So I do fundraising for them. I make sure that I let people know that prevention of teenage suicide, you know, it's important. You know, this generation of children that are coming out of COVID didn't have exams.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So they didn't experience that, you know, that anxiety and stress that a lot of them did. And, you know, thank someone's God that there are less suicides this year.
Yeah.
Because of
hasn't there? Yes. What's the statistics? What would you say the statistics are? Let's do the COVID statistics. Well, let's just say the last 6-7 months. What would you say? Because I've heard of a few. They weren't necessarily teenagers, but I've heard of a few people who have committed suicide.
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of people in my circle. You know, the last 4 months I've done 8 online funerals, or COVID related, or because they couldn't get the treatment through cancer, because of COVID, things like that.
Yeah.
And 3 where they were older, he died of COVID. Now, you know, and also speaking to a lot of people that are low. And just before I came on the phone to you, I had a message from a friend of mine, everything, I'm feeling low. So I rang him and I said, look, I've got an online meeting to do. And once my son comes back from school, I'll meet you in the park, not down the pub, and we'll sit and have a chat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll meet him in Monson, because his partner died 2 years ago, and I'm trying to get him the help that he needs. He's got a young son who's autistic.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not leaving him out the loop.
Well done, Spencer.
You know? And as much as I have been, you know, my post-traumatic stress disorder was kicked off because the guy that invaded the house last year with 2 other geezers.
Yes, I remember. I watch everything, don't you worry. Yeah,
I know that.
No, I do, didn't you? Yeah.
Still opposite. He's still living opposite, and I have to see him and his boys every day and suck it up. And it causes problems with me because I come from a little background that could have made them disappear.
Yeah, right. No, I didn't hear that. That's fine.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all ventriloquists all of a sudden. But the thing is, it's like, I'm not going into that little red book. So at the end of the day, I have to look at myself. And it's hard. And I'm getting some help. But it's where all of it, you unlock one door and then you find there's a corridor with 16 other doors down
doors
there.
Open. Right. And your anxiety levels go up.
Exactly. You spike them, it goes up, and then you think to myself, why am I getting anxious? Because you know it's a journey that only you can take. Only you, because you've got to be honest with yourself.
Absolutely.
And that is the bottom line of getting better.
Yeah.
Is being honest with yourself. With the shit and the shovel, make sure you say that you own both, because you do. You know?
I tell you, this is something that, like yourself, I get, and I hope that people don't, you know, I don't want it to sound like, you know, I'm talking about anybody's business, because it's not about that.
Yeah, of course.
And I didn't ask for it to be this way, but I do have friends and folks and even randoms that will message me, and I have conversations. And the one thing I make sure I don't do is judge, no matter what the situation is. I don't,
you can't.
Whatever the scenario is, I don't judge the person. You've come to me, it's like having clean hands.
Yes.
And they felt the need to actually just pour it out.
Offload.
You know, literally.
Well, the way, listen, Val, sorry to interrupt you, but the way I look at it, like with musically, 64-track graphic equalizer, right?
Yeah.
You wake up one, right? On stereo, so there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
Right. So some people wake up in the morning and go, yes, and start playing with it. And they love that sound through the day. Some people are scared, anxiety, so they go for the presets. So people are living on presets. And then exactly. But some people go in there and muck it all up and are happy with that. So the thing about it is your personal stereo 64-track graphic equalizer if you need to press the presets, you haven't failed.
No,
it's just you taking a breath.
Not
it's
at all.
you taking a breath.
Yeah.
Because next day you might have a little bit extra this or a little bit extra that, and you make the curve for yourself.
For sure.
And it's down to you. But if it gets too much,
pause. Yeah, just
exactly.
pause.
Go into
and this is what I have to say. You know, this is what I tell various different people. I say, look, listen, the way you are at this space in your time, it doesn't mean that the person in front of you is at that place.
Exactly.
So if you are here and another person is here, you're not meeting. There's a middle in the middle. There's not even a middle in the middle, because it's to you feel like it's a mountain to climb.
Yeah.
Up there. The person who's up there, hey, I'm good. Everything's
because all of a sudden they forget to look down. Because
there you go.
and
it becomes
that's the thing,
judgmental.
they forget to look down.
That's right. And it becomes judgmental, and no one wants to talk about it. You feel afraid to talk about it. So you have your friends and you're looking at them and you think, do you know what, I'm going to deal with this alone. I think the best thing for me is not to say anything. But
because you listening to other people, what's going on in the conversation, you think, I'm not going to add to that. I'm not going to put this pressure on them. I'm not going to look like I can't cope. I'm not going to look like the one in the group that is falling to pieces. You know what I mean? So,
and because you know, it's called pride. It's because we are so ashamed. We don't want to, you know, our pride to be hurt. And you'll find that with a lot with creative people. But let's take away the creativity, the people. I think everybody's creative.
Of course.
If we take those who don't use creativeness as their focal point or their job, think about normal people, you know, from builders to secretaries to normal, very high pressure jobs. You'll find that those, especially their managers or directors, etc., their personality is what they have to wear on their sleeves.
Of course.
So whatever that's going on in their personal life at home, they will bring it to work.
All the time.
That stress to work, the knock-on effect is that you are then knocking on your staff. You are then knocking on the people that you are the line manager to, and that line manager, do you understand? And then people feel that they cannot speak to their line manager. What then happens is the ripple effect. The ripple effect of, I can't speak to my line manager. I can't go to HR. Who do I go to? Let me go to the pub and sink a few drinks.
Exactly.
That is my solace. I'm being serious here, mate.
No, of course.
This is my solace. I'm going to go and, you know, even if I'm with some work colleagues, some people, you know, and then you watch those work colleagues go from in the office, oh, good morning, Tom, how are you? And then they'll go out for a drink and they become, oh my God, what's going on with Ratty Betty Tom? You know, because now Tom is, you know, I am not knocking, but after a while you start noticing there's a pattern and you know that there's something wrong going on here. And after a while, either he breaks down and he'll tell someone that his marriage is on the line, or he can't get on with Dave, the manager. Do you understand? And my life is in such a mess that because of the knock-on effect at work, I cannot communicate to my wife, or I can't communicate to my boyfriend at home. And my children are now suffering. And so I have come across where, you know, again, it's suicide. A guy saw him full of life a couple of weeks before. And by the weekend, left the Friday, and by the Monday morning, we've got a phone call that he's committed suicide. You would never have known this guy had an issue. He was posting up that he had just bought a car. So
well, of course,
you go from last week being able to buy a car and take your kids out for a ride in the park, and then come the weekend, I've now decided to go to the building and I threw myself off. Yeah. You understand? It's deep.
Well, that is deep desperation. And the thing about it is unfortunately, back in the day when I was a bit younger, yes, I was suicidal. I was diagnosed with depression when I was 15.
Okay.
And when I was 17, I'd slit my wrist. And it didn't work, obviously, because I'm sitting here talking to you now.
You were meant to be here talking to me.
Exactly. But obviously, some dark thoughts do come into my head when I've been at my lowest. But the greatest thing is I say, I'm not going to leave that legacy for my children.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. I can't.
You
So
can't.
go
Because people think
someone.
you're selfish. You know that, you do know that people say, you know, committed suicide, and I'm guilty. I said this years ago.
It's the easy way out. Yeah.
Listen, it was a cry for help that no one saw. It's a cry for help. And so to come to the end of all of this, it's to say, look, don't let being anxious or having a panic attack, being, you know, stressed out or having depression and having those suicidal thoughts, you cannot make them be taboo for you.
No, they can't.
Feel it and know it and say to yourself, there is something not right here. I need to talk to someone. And 9 times out of 10, it is a deep-rooted problem. It's not something that just started the other day. It's something that's been there all along. And it takes someone to trigger that. And it then builds up and it builds up. And we have
it manifests itself. Well, something that can happen as a child, and you look at that with child eyes. When you grow up, you're looking at that situation with adult eyes, which makes it even worse. And the thing is you look at that and it manifests itself in the most strangest ways. So as you say, if you're having panic attacks, if you're feeling anxious, if you're having suicidal tendencies, if you just don't feel like you're fitting in, or you don't understand, all of a sudden a group of friends that you were around and you enjoyed being around, then all of a sudden they're not making sense to you. Then something is wrong. Then if you cannot speak anyone, you need to move forward. And I think today's society has opened up mental health issues, I think, where the government and royalty and I think even from 10 years ago. And I think that we are in a position where things like this, people that people admire and trust are talking about it. So they trust that they are not alone. So therefore they might go to a community centre or pick up a phone and ring a helpline. And that's all you need to do.
Not only that, the GP are now, where the GPs used to be like, oh, okay, let's give you some antidepressants. I want my word to a lot of people, and I'm only speaking from my own personal experience, is this. When your GP is offering, oh, let's take some sertraline, let me give you, diamorphine, or let me give you, I think there's protazine, or whatever all these tablets. I have a cupboard downstairs full of them, and I've never taken one. And everyone's different. I'm not saying I'm a martyr. Please.
Well, that's the thing about the 64 graphic equalizer. Everyone is different.
I had to learn to recognize that, 50% of anything I put into, it's my responsibility.
That's right.
I cannot go around blaming everybody else and not looking at myself.
That's right.
Until I was able to look at myself, I then realized that things can only get better. And I was able to drop the drink and not become, I need to be that party girl and I need to be out there and drinking. But in fact, I could be a party girl without the drink, because I really am. You know what I mean? I've been like that for years, right? And I do have something in between my brains. But I know we're making light of it. But the fact is that you need to just say to yourself, I don't really feel good. And we sometimes I'm going to give you a perfect example. This morning, everything was great. I'm getting everything ready. I mean, this is like my new
little studio.
I worked so hard to get this, this new space, get it all up and running. And it's been something in the making. And there were days where I kept thinking, don't do this, don't. You're opening yourself up to criticism.
Exposing yourself.
Criticized. But then I know that I'm a bit, excuse my French, I'm a bit of a gobshite, But I'd like to think that whatever I speak about, it's because it's knowledge and I've experienced it. I'm not just going to go gung-ho and talk about subjects that I don't know about. Right? So this morning, I sort of walked around and I looked around. I mean, as this, YouTube will get all of the way, the build up to how I got here and why I've started standing in my truth. But this morning I got up and I was in a flood of tears.
Oh, bless you.
And I was trying to hold it all back, and I thought, don't do this, Val. Do not do this. You've come this far, and it's not about you. You actually want to hear from everybody else, but also I need to protect my own energy at the same time.
Of course.
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
I just want people to know that. Stop looking at someone and say, oh, you look lovely, you got nice hair, you look at your clothes is nice, and you know, I'm always taking selfies or stuff. And I'll come back to that bit about self in a minute. But I've got something going on which is not even so much of a mental issue. It's like my health is just a little bit deteriorating, and I'm not. So I had to have a call with the doctor. And do you know, the doctor was doing her best to listen to, said, oh yeah, I heard that you need to be referred, and yes, it's something we need to look at. The good thing, it's not cancer. So I thought, how do you know? You've not, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, this is
of course.
Weeks. Oh, well, you're not bleeding.
Right.
So until you start bleeding.
Until you start. Oh,
right. So the point, what happened was she was talking to me, and I just became deflated. I just stopped. I literally went down, and I went down, and I went down, and I went down. And I said to her, I've got to go. And she goes, Valerie, and I went, I've really, really got to go. And she said, please don't come off, because I just know that you sound so, and I said, I'm going to be honest with you. You know that I have, this illness, and it's been going on for years. And the one time, I know we're in COVID, I can't get to see my proper GP. You're telling me that I may, fair enough, I can go private. I do have Bupa, but not everybody has Bupa.
Can do that,
right?
exactly.
And right here, right now, I'm telling you, apart from I'm not bleeding somewhere, I am suffering. And she just went, well, I've got another patient to see, but Valerie, and I went, it's okay. And I went, and I stood there for about 10 minutes, and I just said, you know what, Val, let it, just cry, just get it out.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I felt my anxiety levels go up. And I guess my anxiety goes into panic attack. When I get the panic attack, I can't get out of bed for a whole week. It takes at least a week to actually stop where I've shuddered so badly and shaking that, I have to then pick myself up and say, okay, all right. And then by the end of the week, it's now. And this is something that I will post up later. I found techniques that I want to share with everybody. So I'll do this at the end of this show. And brilliant. Which is how to deal with yourself in isolation. And with the pandemic coming on, there is going to be even more anxious people coming. Because we cannot get appointments at the hospital quick enough. We cannot see our GPs quick enough. We cannot go anywhere without thinking, oh my God, that person's got COVID. Even if you don't believe in the mask. So you've got those heightened experiences. You've got those who are scared to leave their homes, So, I get all these people out there talking about, don't wear a mask, and chat COVID ain't there, and the 5G. Get that.
My liberty.
Right. Please spare a thought for those who don't think like you, who are not as strong-willed as you, to talk about these things. They genuinely are anxious. And so they don't want to be laughed at, so they won't say anything. No. So,
and with the lockdown and everything, they're only outlet and looking at the news, and the news is not good for them. So if they're on, and then they got online, which is all bullshit, and that's not good for them. So therefore they don't want to. So they become so introverted and scared that they have to start believing themselves, and if they're in a weak frame of mind, it's not going to be the best decisions they're going to be making.
I call it the sucker mode. That's what I call it. I call it the sucker mode. It's like all of a sudden I'm going to watch the BBC, and okay, now you're suckered, because it's like, oh Jesus. And then you got to spare a thought also for those people who are lost their jobs, got another job, lost that job. They don't know how to do universal credit, never had to do universal credit. You've got people who are airline pilots who have graduated, who've had the most amazing jobs, who cannot get the salary they used to get before. They're now having to go to a job which is half of whatever they used to earn. So
therefore they've got to sell their house because they can't put up the mortgage.
And their kids have got to come out of private school. I'm not, but then you've got those who are not in private school, and the nursery fees. Everything is a knock-on effect, and I'm telling you, you need to stay strong. So this is why I'm saying, I know that we're having this conversation, and I'm so grateful for everything that you've talked about. And
thank you.
I just want you to repeat the suicide line that you actually
it's called Papyrus. So if you have a look for Papyrus, they're actually they have a helpline, and they're set up north at the moment, and we're in talks about trying to get a London-based phone line sorted out. But obviously, it takes money, but that's fundraising and stuff. So if you just have a look, because Childline is there, and Samaritans are there, but Papyrus for youngsters, teenagers, and I've got 5 kids, 1 grandchild and another one on the way. So it's like, I have to make sure that if I leave the mortal coil, that I've done something that is going to help them and help the future.
Back. Yes.
Yeah.
You were not
ashamed, and the fact that I am open, they've seen me cry, they've seen me bad, they've seen me at my worst where I can't get out of bed, and I explain to them, and people say to me, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." And said, "No, they need to know what it looks like. They need to know that it's real, and if they feel like that, is not to feel bad, because it runs in the family. It's not their fault.
It prepares them.
Exactly. And even if that is the only thing I can do, then at least they're not going to be knocked sideways when it does hit them and think, what is this? When you see the anxiety and the panic attacks and everything, and you say, what's happening to me? I shouldn't be like this. I'm 6'6" and I'm strong, and I should be, what's going on? Why am I crying? I'm standing at a bus stop. I can't decide between I can't decide between a steak, bacon, a sausage roll. Why am I crying? And that, believe me, it's that simple things like that do happen. And so it's the thing about, if there is a next lockdown, people that are listening and going to watch parts of this, now what your limits and capabilities are. You always know your friends that have had what you call slightly blessed, you call them. So what you need to do is keep in touch with them. And yes, they might not pick up the phone. Yes, they might just tell you that they're okay, but bombard them, let them know that they're not on their own. I think that's the next level. If this lockdown 2 comes, then it's about, you want community back, create community. Create it. And the only way you create community is talk and make community. That's it.
Talk about it. Talk about it. Don't feel bad about it. Talk about it.
Talk about it. And listen, if you're a man, woman, or child, it happens to you. So talk about it.
Yeah.
And especially you men, right?
Right.
And especially black men.
Hear that?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially black men. All right. Pull your finger out, boys. Because it's not about the colour of your skin. Because if you opened up our brains, they're all grey.
They're all the same.
They're all the same.
Spencer Graham, thank you so much. You are more than welcome for having, coming on with me today. And at the end of it, I'm going to take that information from you, and I'm going to stick it at the end of the video so that everybody can see this. Everyone can see it. Please, folks. Well, can I say something? Listen, Spee you must go to his Facebook page. Check him out. Well, listen, can I say, everybody looking at this, support Miss Valerie Maxwell. She is doing and will completely do a fantastic job. And the thing about it is I just want to say one last thing, that your God found you and you found your God. And I'm not religious, but people have found religion. And if you are religious and you do have that, hold on to that, because that helps. Yes, it's just the faith, helps. Something that helps. It's faith. Yeah. And and it works for me. So yeah, I wouldn't want to force that on anybody, to be fair. No, but I wanted to make and I love what you just said there. So may your God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Love you. God bless. Bye bye, darling.